good morning. My name is Dr. Shuaib Mohammad Bhat. I'm working as assistant professor in the Department of English at the Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. Today in this lecture, in this video lecture, I shall be talking about COPO mapping with special reference to Module 1. So the Module 1 is general introduction and listening skill. So I shall be talking about that where I have listening skill and there is general introduction about professional communication, about communication. So this lecture is about the CO and PO mapping with special reference to Module 1. Let's first get to know what OBE is. As we discussed OBE in detail in the previous lecture, but here I need to make you know what OBE is before I show you how COs and POs are mapped for this Module 1. The definition is outcome-based education. It is a student-centric teaching and learning methodology in which course delivery assessments are planned to achieve stated objectives and outcomes. So first thing is this OBE, it mainly talks about objectives and outcomes. It's a new model given by William Spady, a new model of education which came in 1988. It came in 1988. It was Spady who gave it, William Spady who gave this new model of education. It's against to traditional. It's a kind of reaction to the traditional mode of education, and it has replaced traditional mode of education. So earlier there were less number of countries who have implemented OBE, but gradually after that many countries they took part or they have implemented OBE in their curriculum, including our country, India. So we are following OBE. This outcome-based education is being followed in many of our institutions here in India. So when we see upon the OBE, we see it's a student-centric teaching and learning methodology. Earlier, the traditional mode of teaching learning, that was not student-centric. That was not so flexible when it comes to be student-centered. So that was more or less teacher-centric model of education. So, but OBE is student-centric or it is student-centered teaching and learning methodology. So, in the OBE, course delivery and assessments are planned. So, course delivery is planned and assessments are planned. It's not like you will go with the traditional assessments like having some tests or exams at the end of semester. There are these exams are there, tests are there, but apart from that, we are having different set of assessments. Like we have tech talks, we have assignments, we have different other ways by which we assess students. And there is also a set plan for the delivery of lectures. What number of lectures should be given to each module? That's planned in advance when it comes to OBE. And this course delivery and assessments, the role of assessments or the mode of assessments and the mode of course delivery, it's planned to achieve stated objectives and outcomes. So to achieve these objectives and outcomes, we require this course delivery and assessment. And OBE focuses on measuring student performance, that is outcomes at different levels. The main focus of OBE is to measure student performance. It measures student performance at different levels. Students' performance, that means outcomes at different levels. As I told you, every course is having outcome and program is having outcome, and we have program educational outcomes. So outcomes are there at every stage. So OBE, it focuses on measuring student performances, measuring these outcomes. Has the student availed or has the student achieved all the outcomes at the end of course outcomes? or has the student achieved all the program outcomes at the end of a particular program. So this is the main thrust area of OBE is to measure student performance. That is outcomes at different levels. When it comes to course, when it comes to program. So OBE just focuses on the course outcome, whether the student has achieved or not. So it works for achieving course outcomes or program outcomes at the end of a course or at the end of a program. It has some key features for implementation. There are some key features for implementation of outcome-based education. Some key features are there, like development of curriculum framework that outlines specific and measurable outcomes. So the first key implementation, first thing which an institute need to do in order to implement OBE is to develop curriculum. The framework of curriculum should be developed, which will outline specific and measurable outcomes. So your curriculum should have such a framework that it should outline specific and measurable outcomes. Outcomes should not be like which are not measurable, which cannot be measured at the end of the course or at the end of the program. No, your outcomes should be which can be measured. That means which can be really achieved by the student. And your outcomes, they should align with your syllabus which you are giving to the students. So when you are making outcomes for a course, these outcomes, they should align with the syllabus. We should structure the syllabus in such a way so that it can align with the outcomes, so that it can help the student to achieve the proposed outcomes. So the first key feature in order to implement OBE is to structure the curriculum framework, is to make the framework of curriculum so structured so that it can outline specific and measurable outcomes. These outcomes, they are specific, they are particular. It's not like there is a huge set of outcomes. No, they are very specific, they are particular, and they are always measurable. Then, instructional methodology to ensure delivery for specified outcomes. So it should have that instructional methodology. Instructional methodology has to be adopted in order to ensure delivery for specified outcomes. So now the methodology which a teacher or which a teacher is using in his or her classes, that should be the methodology which can ensure proper delivery of the topic so that outcomes can be achieved. So the second key feature for the implementation of OBE is instructional methodology. Methodology of instructions, it should be up to date and it should be framed in such a way so that a student, a learner can achieve specified outcomes. Then, standards-based assessments. What is the standards-based assessments? It determines whether students have achieved the stated standard. Now, third thing is assessment. First is curriculum, second is delivery, third is assessment. Assessments should be these assessment tests or different assessment tests. They should be chosen or selected in such a way so that they can help the student to achieve the proposed outcomes. It should be come to know whether students have achieved the stated standard or not, the stated objectives or not. So it can be achieved, it can be checked again by different assessment tests. So an institution who is going to implement OBE should necessarily focus on assessment tests. Assessments should be chosen very carefully, very attentively, so that so that your students can achieve the stated standard for a particular course. Then we have the syllabus of professional communication course module 1, that is General Introduction and Listening Skill. Module 1, the name is General Introduction and Listening Skill. So here in this module, we have introduction to communication skills, then communication process, elements of communication, soft skills and hard skills, importance of soft skills for engineers, listening skill, significance of listening, stages of listening, barriers of listening, and listening comprehension. These are the different topics which come under module 1. So they are almost 10, 11 in number. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 topics are there which come under our first module, which is named as General Introduction and Listening Skill. There is general introduction about communication skill. You will see the first topics, they belong to communication. We have introduction to communication skill, communication process, elements of communication, soft skills and hard skills, importance of soft skills for engineers. So this is an introduction to the communication skill. Then we have the second part which aligns with this listening skill. So it talks about listening. It talks about listening skill. So there the topics are like we have normal listening skill, means the introduction to listening skill. We have significance. What is the significance of listening? What are different stages of listening? What are barriers and effectiveness of listening? And listening comprehension is there. So we have different topics are there. So these all topics, they belong to module 1. And we have course objectives, as this is a very fundamental point of outcome-based education. Every course is having its objective. So what are the course objectives for professional communication course? This is, see, the first one is the students will try to learn. Means with this syllabus, the student will try to learn standard pronunciation, appropriate word stress, and necessary intonation patterns for effective communication towards achieving academic and professional targets. So in order to achieve academic and professional targets, a student will learn out of the whole course of professional communication. He or she will be able to learn standard pronunciation, which is much required in every aspect of academia. Pronunciation is required, not only in academia, but it is required everywhere. You talk to people, you communicate with people, you need communication. You want to survive in the society, you need communication, and your communication should always be correct and fluent. You should be proficient in your communication. And appropriate word stress is required. Necessary intonation patterns are required in order to achieve your academic and professional targets or goals. Then the second course objective is appropriate grammatical structure. So we have a well-planned grammatical portion there in the syllabus. A student, while going through that module, will be able to learn grammatical structures and also using the nuances of punctuation tools for practical purposes. A student will be also able to use the punctuation marks, punctuation tools for practical purposes. Then next objective is critical aspect of speaking and reading for interpreting in-depth meaning between the sentences. There is more about speaking and more about reading. We have reading portion is there, reading comprehension is there, speaking is there, speaking skill. We talk about speaking skill in the syllabus. So a student will be able to know about speaking, effective speaking and effective reading. So it's not like a student after completing this course will only be a good speaker or will only be a fluent speaker, but at the same time will be a good writer as well, because we have included the writing portion in our syllabus. That will enable our students to be good writers of tomorrow. Then a conceptual awareness on writing in terms of unity, content, coherence, and linguistic accuracy. So I talked in third point, it's about reading. Students will be able to read because we see nowadays the reading habit is decaying. It's dying day by day. People are not giving care or attention to reading. So it's coming out of the lives of people. So we have included a very comprehensive, a well-structured reading portion in our syllabus. So our students at the end of the course will be effective readers, and writing portion is there. It's not like, as I told you, our speakers, our students will only be able to be good speakers, but at the same time, this syllabus will inculcate in them the quality of being good writers, content writers, creative writers, because we have different exercises, different portions related to writing in our syllabus. So students will get benefit by that and will be able at the end of the semester, at the end of the course, to be good writers. So these four are the course outcomes. Then see the relationship of course outcome to program outcome. What is the relationship of this course outcome to program outcome? Because program outcomes are quite different. Program outcomes, they include a lot of course outcomes. So how does this course outcome align to the program outcome? The course outcomes, it need to link to the program outcomes. So use the following learning outcome formula. See, students should be able to behavior and resulting evidence. Obviously, you belong to any engineering field. It's not like you should only have the knowledge of engineering. For example, if you're the students of machine learning or you're the students of information technology, it's not like that you need only to have the knowledge about information technology. That only cannot help you to survive in life. Rather, you need to know the behavioral patterns. You need to know the human psychology, human behavior. And you need to be a person who relies on evidences, who provides a kind of evidence for his living. So this course will help you to be able to just improve your behavior. You will not only at the end of the program, you will not only be good, you will not only be good engineers, rather you will be good human beings as well, who understand different behavioral patterns, who can fit to any psychological change which occurs in the work environment. And then after successful completion of the course, students will be able to discuss the important elements of listening skill for academic and non-academic purposes. So students will be able to understand, will be able to discuss important elements of listening skill for both academic and non-academic purposes, because we do not require listening only for academic purposes, but we require listening also for non-academic purposes. So after completing this course, our students will be able to know the different elements of listening and listening skill for both academic and non-academic purposes. So this is how the COPO mapping is done for the course. Then these are the program outcomes. So if I go with the program outcomes, so communicate effectively on complex engineering activities with the engineering community and with society at large, such as being able to comprehend and write effective reports and design documentation, make effective presentation, and give and receive clear instructions. So students should demonstrate the ability to communicate effectively in writing orally. So students, the program outcome is this: students, as I told you, in the complex engineering, students can effectively communicate in the complex engineering activities with the engineering community. It's not like students, they are not able to indulge with the people who belong to engineering profession. So they can indulge, they can talk, they can read, they can write, they can write reports, they can do the documentation, they can speak effectively. And students should demonstrate the ability to communicate effectively in writing orally. So this is about program outcomes. Then this is the justification of COs with POs. Then we have COPO and PSO mapping. There the graph is clearly showing you the COPO and PSO mapping. Then these are total count of key competencies for COPO and PSO mapping. Then we have percentage of key competencies. This is the percentage. Then as we have the 10th PO and it's 100%. Then course articulation matrix is there. And we have course articulation matrix, COPO, PSO mapping is there. And at the end, there is the benefits of OBE. OBE brings you clarity. It makes everything clear to the students, and it's flexible. It can be modified. It can be changed. It's not like which is rigid, or it's not like that. It's one time fixed and it cannot be changed. It's flexible. And in comparison to other models of education, so OBE is a very productive, as it's written that OBE can be compared across the individual class, batch, program, and institute levels. It can be easily compared. And when it comes to involvement, students are expected to do their own learning. So it allows student involvement in the activities of learning. So it's not like, as I told you, it's not like teacher centered only, it is student centered. It allows students, it helps students to get involved in the activities. So this is where I end the first COPO mapping of first module. So I would like to just repeat it once again. It's outcome-based education. Like we have this COPO mapping with special reference to module 1. Our module 1 is general introduction to listening and general introduction and listening skill. Then I talked about definition of OB. Then I talked about the module, first module, what are the different topics which come under first module. Then course objectives. There are 4 course objectives. Students will try to learn these course objectives. Will learn these 4 course objectives at the end of semester. Then the relationship of COs and POs. COs and POs. COs should align with the POs. Then after completion of the course, students will be able to do this, because our first unit, it falls under CO1. So students will be able to learn listening skill for both academic and non-academic purposes. Then mapping is done. Then there is these key competencies, course matrix is there. So I would like to stop here. I would like to end up here. Thank you. Thank you for listening carefully.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.